Why does my homebrewed lager have a sulfur smell? Imagine opening your homebrew and being greeted by a smell that reminds you of rotten eggs or geothermal springs. It can be surprising and a little frustrating, especially after all the effort you put into brewing. But don't worry, this sulfur smell is quite common during lager fermentation and usually temporary. It's mainly caused by a gas called hydrogen sulfide, which is a natural byproduct of yeast metabolism. Yeast produces hydrogen sulfide when it processes sulfur compounds like sulfate and amino acids in the wort. All yeast strains make some hydrogen sulfide, but lager yeast strains tend to produce more, especially early on. Lager fermentation requires colder temperatures and longer times than ales, which makes the sulfur compounds stick around longer. During primary fermentation, it's normal for the beer to emit strong sulfur odors that can smell like rotten eggs or geothermal vents. This is part of the natural process and usually less intense than with ales. Several factors influence how much sulfur smell you get. For example, the yeast strain you use matters a lot. Some lager yeast strains naturally produce higher levels of hydrogen sulfide. Different strains vary in how much sulfur they emit and how quickly they reabsorb it. Fermentation conditions also play a role. If the yeast is stressed due to insufficient nutrients, improper temperature control, or oxygen deficiency, it can produce more sulfur. Fermenting too cold or too warm can cause yeast stress and increase sulfur production. The composition of your wort matters too. If it contains a lot of sulfur-containing amino acids or sulfate, it provides more raw material for hydrogen sulfide formation. Patience is key. Sulfur odors usually fade during lagering, which is cold storage after fermentation. The yeast will often reabsorb hydrogen sulfide and other sulfur compounds as fermentation finishes. Giving your beer enough time to lager, often several weeks, helps these odors dissipate. If the sulfur smell persists even after lagering, it might be a sign of contamination, but that's less common. Usually, just extending your lagering period and ensuring healthy yeast will do the trick. To manage sulfur smell, make sure you pitch enough healthy yeast to prevent stress. Keep the fermentation temperature within the recommended range for your yeast strain. Provide enough nutrients and oxygen at the start to support healthy yeast activity. Allow your lager to condition for at least 4 to 6 weeks or longer if needed. Avoid bottling or kegging too early before the sulfur odors have gone away. Remember, this sulfur smell is a normal part of lager brewing. It's a sign that your yeast is working hard and producing the byproducts of fermentation. With proper temperature control, good yeast health, and patience during lagering, those off-putting odors will fade, leaving you with a clean, crisp lager that's worth the wait.